Okay. Hi everybody, it's Karen. I'm glad you're here. Welcome to Team Time. It's Sunday night, and I have to tell you, I probably look a little bit worn out. I feel really alive inside, but we just had a really long weekend in Houston. We had our Ladies Alive. So I guess before I start, I do want you to know that we did have a really full weekend. I know some of the women that are on Team Time right now, you were there, or you were at the Ladies Alive in Dallas, or in Nashville maybe, or you've been to Ladies Alive in the last few weeks and the last month. And that's a lot of times to say Ladies Alive, but you know, the thing about it is that I was thinking about what's in store for all of you that were there and all of the men attached to the women that were there, and it's huge. I mean, I know that to be true from past Ladies Alives, but having just walked out of our Houston Ladies Alive, there's such an anticipation in me, just realizing what the next year is going to be like for everybody who attended this major impending event and did the work to get other people there. So I wanted to start by just congratulating you if you were there. I mean, just saying, way to go, way to commit to your business. I'm cheering you on because that's such a big deal. And you may be at the place where maybe you went alone, or you had just a few ladies there, or maybe you even came out of Ladies Alive and, you know, everything you had as an expectation hasn't come true yet because it's only been a couple weeks. But I know that if you were there and you were fed and nourished the things that happened at those events, that if you'll just continue to open that journal again and continue to remind yourself and to share the things you learned with people that you begin to share Advocare with, you're going to see again that snowball effect. Okay, so I'm just excited about that. Don't beat yourself up if you weren't there. That wasn't the point of that message. But for those of you who are there, it's really important for you to understand. Of course, the next large event like that is going to be Regional Success Schools. So we have to continue to have that mindset of exactly how our business is built. And for those of you that are new on Team Time, Andy and I are here in Houston. It's Sunday night, and we've just committed to be doing these Ustreams where there's just different topics that we know can help you. So we're really glad you're here. Last week, this is what we did. Can y'all see that? A little bit you can. Last week we taught on the cycle of moving your business from event to event, and I think that's one of the reasons that I really wanted to talk about Ladies Alive a little bit, just having come out of it. So if you didn't see that Ustream, it would be a really great one for you to watch, because it's that reminder of what are the most important things to do in this great business of Advocare on a daily basis that can move you into having people with you at the events that are larger in your cities. So Ladies Alive is now complete. The last ones were this weekend, and it's now time to completely and 100% with all of your ability that you and just effort focus on Regional Success Schools. Okay, and you know, even leaders were talking about this the other day. We're like, okay, we have to focus on Ladies Alive, and Regional Success School ticket sales have been promoted since Dallas Success School, but we knew in our, you know, deep down that the most important thing to do in this business is promote one major impending event at a time. So we talk about Regional Success School a little bit, and it's on obviously the radar screen all the time. But Ladies Alive was what we needed to be talking about, promoting, and getting women to. Now that's over, okay? So it is, you know, game on. We have all got to, as a group, as a distributor base, for yourself, for your business, for your team, begin the process of really getting focused and committed on January, okay? Now, there's two ways to look at that. Some people are like, oh my gosh, I just finished Ladies Alive, and you know, there's Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up, and I'm already started, you know, needing to start thinking about Success School in January. And of course, that's for somebody that maybe you're new. Maybe you don't, you know, you haven't seen the fruit of January yet. But if you'll trust our mentorship, one of the things that I know to be true, obviously, is that January through April are the easiest months and the months with the highest momentum and the biggest gains in anybody's business. Okay, and the reason is we've got New Year's. Everybody is focused on improvement in their life. They're excited. They're at the freshest moment of their heart's desires and their brain thinking, okay, it's time for change. And they begin that process of New Year's resolutions. And some people do it on January 1st. And they're already going to these other companies that are advertising on TV, Jenny Craig Weight Watchers, those kind of things, or looking for ways to change. And the last thing in the world you want as a person that's desiring change in your own life and growing an Advocare business for yourself is to find out that people are excited about something else in their life to lose weight or to make money because you didn't talk to them about Advocare. So we have to think about this strategically as business owners now, okay? So that's why it's really fun to say, okay, Ladies Alive got a lot of momentum for us and got women in the room, and many of the women were distributors already and advisors, but some of them were guests, but now they're ready for more. And so you don't want to wait, you want to start moving into much more action on who else can we talk to? Who else can we bring through this normal daily cycle so that we've got more people on product? And that's really important. Remember, we just did a Ustream recently about that. Product is what moves and drives your business. So yes, we're recruiting all the time, and it's so important to get business builders, but where do they come from often? Happy product users. So we've got to get lots and lots, flood the market with product users right now, and always be planting the seeds of business and looking for those you can immediately bring the business to now through this holiday season. Really important, and here's why. Because one, statistically in Advocare, some of the top distributors in the history of the company came in at this time of year. Why is that? Because people who are really and truly motivated to succeed in something, who haven't really had their answer yet, and all of a sudden it's presented to them right at the time of year when times are hardest for people, they're thinking ahead. So they're going, sure, I want to do this now. I'm not waiting until January. Now they've got their answer. So it's really cool to think about that, who that might really and truly be looking for finances right now. Let's talk about Advocare with them right now, because you may find that one person who will take this business and drive it quickly because they see it as their solution. But number two, if you want to think about this, it's really, really powerful, is that a lot of people already have a mindset of, I'm waiting until January to change. So what if you share the message over and over and over again with people now? So what if they wait? So what if there are people who say, I'll wait until January for change? They know you're attached to Advocare. You can get them on product now and let that product do what it does best, is really convince without any I have to convince you Advocare's great. It just convinces people. They get a level of conviction about the company because they're using product. And so these are things you think about now, and if you do it over and over again, by January you've got either someone who's already built some momentum and you're helping a team member grow, and they're going to have the best first quarter of the year in their new business, or you've got these people that know you do Advocare. It's kind of, they've been thinking about it. They may have a magazine, they may be using some product, and when they're ready come January 1st, they're calling you. You've got meetings on the calendar and you're saying, great, I'm doing this. We're going to have a New Year's kickoff, 24-day challenge, all those fun things that we do that you'll learn about. So it's really critical for you now, for those of you who want to grow your business, hey, let's get into some really fun action. Now, there's all kinds of things you can do, but I want to give you a couple of tips. As you share Advocare with busy people during the busy holiday season, be flexible, plant those seeds, maybe sample a spark and say, hey, I know it's a busy time right now. When would be a good time to check back with you? But let's get together quickly for maybe 20, 30 minutes at Starbucks. Make it easy for people. Instead of thinking, I'm going to only have mixers and invite people and then get frustrated because maybe they're not coming. Okay, so be really flexible in this with the holiday season. The other thing is be flexible with the products. Yes, 24-day challenges over and over and over again. It's incredible what you can do with the 24-day challenge with people. And I still recommend that you're constantly doing that. But be mindful of the schedule, okay? So as we near Thanksgiving, rather than promoting a 24-day challenge with somebody who's just wanting to get on some product, they may not be asking for change, like, I can't wait to start this thing, but you're planting that seed of, hey, let's get you started. You may not be wanting to start them on the cleanse if it's 2 days before Thanksgiving, right? You might just say, hey, we got to get you on some Spark and Metabolic Nutrition System. You're going to feel great on this stuff, and it's going to really help you with the cravings all the way through the holiday foods. And then as you're following up, you revisit afterwards and say, now this is perfect time for the cleanse. So you take control of product out there in the marketplace at this time. Take advantage of the holiday products just for fun, to get people a great holiday solution to their breakfast, you know. So these are things you want to get. You never veer out of the message of AdvoCare or the way we do things in AdvoCare. You don't want to get so creative that you're veering from our normal system, okay? But you do want to start thinking about what's the best way to engage people during this time of year. Okay, so hopefully that all makes sense to you. And those are just things that I had in my mind that I thought this is going to be really fun and easy to talk about with you. The other thing is, remember that you're going to be around a lot of people. Okay, so what I want to talk to you about tonight is a little bit about that. You know, you never want to forget, no matter how much we talk about AdvoCare as a life-changing business and the financial side of AdvoCare, you know, the numbers in AdvoCare still to this day surprise me. Like what you can actually do financially with a few years of effort in a business that's this enjoyable and that does so much good for you and for others. I mean, it's just incredible to me. And I love talking about the numbers. I'll never stop showing people the pay plan and the numbers. But the bottom line is that the way to achieve it is just the way our founder set it up, as a relationship business. We are relationship marketing in AdvoCare, okay? And if you even think about the word network marketing, which, you know, I don't really use that term with AdvoCare because I really believe we're relationship marketing. But what is a network? It's just, a network is just a bunch of connected people, okay? So there's nothing wrong with that word. It's just sometimes attached to other companies that maybe people have had a different experience with. So I like to talk about AdvoCare as a relationship marketing business. But think about that, relationships. We talked about that last week when we were talking about moving people from that individual appointment and then getting them on products or inviting them to see more about the business, and how it takes 5 or 6 different layers of exposure and conviction, you know, to get people convicted about this. That's because you're building a relationship, okay? So we talked about embracing that last week. We talked about enjoying that process, trusting that process, being patient through that process, because you know, think about how many of you actually said yes the first day, the first moment you were presented AdvoCare. Most people, that's not the case. You know, it's typically going to be those layers of exposure, the sample of Spark, the stories that they hear, the magazine that they get to look at, the mixer where they see a little bit more, and then boom, people are ready for more. So, you know, we know that to be true, but what I want to talk about with you a little bit is, it can't just be the exposures either, okay? You can do everything right with AdvoCare's message and still be looking around going, you know, where is everybody? Why aren't they following me yet? And that's because there's another piece to the puzzle, and that is connecting with the person. You know, really understanding that if you can get into that person's life and understand what matters most to them, then the message of AdvoCare is going to fit into their life, okay? And I'm going to give you a couple of like word pictures and examples for this so it really makes sense, okay? And the first one is just a funny story of, I was thinking back on when I was newer in AdvoCare, or really new in AdvoCare, and I knew AdvoCare was great. So I knew the vehicle of AdvoCare could really help people. I knew the products could make a big difference, but that if somebody could take that and share it, that they were going to make money for their families. Okay, so I wanted to tell people about Advocare, but I never got this whole connection piece for a while. So, you know, I was spewing Advocare on people and wanting them to know about it. And, you know, my own family could probably tell you so many stories, because I was calling them and wanting them to hear recorded messages without ever asking first, is this something you'd be interested in? You know, I was just sure they would want it, and they didn't at first. But there was this one person I met, and she was, I was working at a school in the school district, you know, and it was, I was working in this one school, and she told me that her kids were in sports and that all the parents asked about supplements, and that they always recommended whatever their kids were taking, because their kids were kind of the star athletes, you know. And that stuck in my head. I was like, oh man, she should know about this, you know. But what I did, it's so funny to think back at it now. It was just so funny. But I told her all about how great our products were. You know, talked about our products. And went and showed it to her, and showed her all about our products. But they had a whole cabinet full of products, and I didn't ask any questions about that. I just kind of brought her the products that we had and told her how great they would be and how much better they were because of the scientists, how much better they were because of the athletes, you know. And they just listened, and they kind of smiled and said they would think about it. Okay, and so after that, their next exposures to Advocare, their multiple layers of exposure, were me doing things like this. I emailed her, and like, I thought of some more things I could tell her about how great the products were. And, you know, my intentions were good. This is really funny when I look back at it, but it was like, if she could just know that this stuff's better than the stuff she's already using and the stuff she's already recommended to other parents, you know, I was just sure that then it would make sense to her. And so I would email her. And then one day I did this. Yeah, I really did this. I wrote her a letter, like a little note, and I went by her house and I put it in her mailbox and left it in her mailbox, and just thought, well, the way I worded this one would be better for her. And this went on. I don't know how many exposures I gave her, but needless to say, none of them were touching her in a way where she was thinking, I want more to know about this. She was probably thinking, this lady's crazy. You know, she's stalking me, and she's putting a note in my mailbox when I'm not around. I don't know why I did all that. I was excited about Advocare. I thought it would be good for her, but I didn't ask her anything about her. Okay? And the end of the story is that the last email I sent her, I got an email back, and it just, in capital letters, it just said, please stop emailing me about Advocare, ! So obviously it didn't work. Now the sad thing about that, in a sense, and you have to laugh, you know, because nobody's perfect and we all grow in this, but I think back on it now, and she worked in a school district, and I worked in a school district, and I know she still teaches, and Andy and I are here living a life of freedom. And so, you know, the better we get at this, and the more quickly this all makes sense to us, not only will we get business and begin to, you know, achieve what we want to achieve in Advocare, but we really will make a difference out there for people. I wish I could go back now and do it right for this woman, but I'm sure I kind of busted that relationship, and it is what it is, right? I don't even know how to find her at this point, but so I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, so what I want to talk to you about tonight is, how do you connect with people in a way where Advocare is going to make sense? Okay, how do you connect with them? Because, you know, the bottom line is the connection, right, is what makes something that's so good work. Okay, and this is just one more quick word picture for you. We were on a cruise in the Mediterranean with some Advocare distributors, and when we got there on the cruise, this was Paris. Okay, so we were in Paris, and when we were in Paris, we went to our first dinner, and there was all kinds of chatter all around the tables with the women, because so many of us use straighteners to straighten our hair. And it was like, did your straightener work with the plugs? And we were all talking about the plugs. And what happened was people needed an adapter for the straightener to work, okay? And multiple things happened. Like for me, we brought an adapter, okay? So I was able to use the adapter and straighten my hair. Some people didn't bring an adapter and they were not able to even straighten their hair. And some people had the wrong adapter and it fried their hair when they used their straightener. And sorry guys, this is not important to you, but for us, this was a big deal. This was like a whole week in Paris, and some people were like, how am I going to use my straightener? And here's the thing about it. The straightener is an incredible tool. It really is. It's like something that when you finally have it and you have curly hair and you want straight hair, you love the straightener. But it was useless for the people who didn't have the right connection. Okay, so no matter how good no matter what I would say to somebody, but this straightener is going to straighten your hair, it's going to make it beautiful. If the connection's not there, no, it's not going to do that. Okay, so again, this is so important for you. So how do you connect? Well, a couple of things to think about as an AdvoCare distributor on connection. First of all, is that our business really is driven by not the products and the business model as much as it is by you. In other words, I want you to trust and be confident in the fact that people really aren't buying AdvoCare, they're buying you. People are looking at your eyes and your face and your smile. They want to know if you're sincere. There's so much out there where people are trying to take from others that they're a little cautious sometimes. Not everybody. I know all of us who have told someone about AdvoCare and immediately they want to know about it. They're not suspicious. But remember, I want you to have the masses. So if you can think in the middle and think, what do most people think like, and how can I create more and more of this with ease? That's the best thing to do. So think about this. Be a giver, not a taker. Our pay plan is based on being a giver. Okay, so that's exciting. So you don't even have to be worried about it. Be a giver, not a taker. Have an unselfish mindset no matter who you're talking to. And if you slow down enough to really meet somebody where they're at and figure out where they're at, you're going to get business anyway, okay? Because people sense it. If you're ever trying to share AdvoCare out of your own need or your own greed, then people are not going to want that, okay? And so greed just meaning I can't wait to get everything I want out of life, and need is I'm desperate for money today. And if you're doing either of those things with people, then you're not gonna get that relationship and that connection with them, okay? And so instead, if you have this unselfish mindset, now here's what I want you to know. You might still need AdvoCare as far as the money, but if you're talking to somebody and your mindset is I need it to happen at this moment with this person, that's where there's a problem, okay? So instead, this unselfish mindset is, what do they need? What can I give them with this company? Now, here's the great news about that. You're still going to earn the income if you need it, if that person has something in their life where AdvoCare can match. And so you don't have to have a sense of fear of, oh my goodness, if I do this, I won't be able to close the sale. It's just the opposite. Okay, so it's all about connection. It's all about what does someone need. It's about being a giver, unselfish mindset. It's the same thing with your team, okay, with your team as you're going along. So when you're first beginning all this, I have an acronym that can help you with that. Okay, I heard it a long time ago. I like to teach on it. Some of you may have been through Ruby Boot Camp and you already heard this, but if you'll write down on your piece of paper FORM, the acronym FORM, that's a great way to think through and practice and get better and better at what it means to talk to somebody and connect with them and find out what matters to them so that the message of AdvoCare fits into their life and makes sense to them when you bring it to them, okay? So I'll just tell you right now that the M in FORM is the message of AdvoCare. And look where it is. It's last. Okay? So that's a cool thing to think about. So when we talk to people, even if we plan on talking to them about AdvoCare very specifically, form helps you understand that the message of AdvoCare comes after you know about the person and you know it matters to that person. Okay? So let's just talk about those basic things. F is for family. Okay? On this earth, almost everybody you'll ever meet, the most important people on the earth with them is their family. So, before we talk about anything else, it's so important to get to know what someone's family looks like. What's important to them is their family, their husband, their wife, their children. Where does all that fit in their life? Where do they live? Are their grandkids near them? You can ask people so much. And when you'll watch what happens when you start to ask them that, if it's not robotic, okay, I asked that question, move on, ask the next question. If it's just about generally you're interested in them, people light up when you ask them about their family. They just light up. You know how neat it is when you ask somebody about their family and you ask them if they have kids and they tell you, and then you don't just go, oh, okay, I have kids too, and you start talking about your kids, but you say, look, how old are they? And then they say that, and you say, do you have a picture of them? Have you ever seen anybody say, no, I don't carry pictures? They're like, yes, let me show you, and they take their phone out. Connecting with somebody, finding out what lights their world up. Are their kids in school? Are they in public school or private school? Now, yes, we care about them. Yes, we're creating genuine interest. Yes, we're learning about them, but we're also finding out what matters to them, because this is business. We're trying to figure out where AdvoCare could help them. I think about all the time when I start talking about school, and parents will say things like, well, I wish they could go to private school, but right now they can't, or whatever. You're learning the things of the person's heart that they want and desire, okay? Where they work, occupation. It's really nice to talk about occupation. I want to give you just a little bit of just our own experience here with me and Andy. But yeah, I really believe that if you can find out what someone does for a living, but let them talk about all of what they do for a living, the restraints of it, what they're tied to, whether they make a lot of money or not, whether they're happy where they are, let them tell you that. Okay, sometimes we can in this business talk about, it's kind of lingo, people are tied to a job, and AdvoCare can free them from that, but you want them to come to that conclusion, okay, by being around AdvoCare. You don't want to be telling somebody, and this is me talking because I watched a man work a job, for 33 years, and he was proud of that. That was his life. That was how he took care of us. And so we don't want to be saying, right up front, oh, you work that job will tie you to, we have something better. No. Because what if that person isn't wanting to, hear that yet? See, one of the things about connecting with somebody is not getting into the things that matter to them in a way where you're challenging that and you're making them feel as if that's something not good. Connecting is finding common ground with somebody. So when you're doing this form, family, occupation, you want to be connecting and just listening a lot. You want to find out if that's something that they love. Now if they say no, you ask them why, And so anyway, we could talk about that a lot, but hopefully that helps you. But there are things you can talk about with jobs. What made you get into that, or have you been doing that a long time? I love to ask people, is that something that you love? Is it a passion for you? Okay, and that's where you can really start to hear the heartbeat of why they do what they do in their job and what it's doing for them. And again, at that moment, you're listening. That's what you're doing. You're not inserting AdvoCare in there. Well, you should do this instead or anything like that. You're just listening, okay? And I do want you to know that this is not a checklist, and this flows depending on the person, but these are areas of conversation that can help you be really good at connecting with people, okay? The next letter, R, is recreation. A lot of people, and I know men are this is really important to men. Like, it's important to me too, but I have to say, like, I know Andy loves to have hobbies, and men are built that way. These are things that are very important in their life. Andy loves music. I love to watch Andy when he connects with people, because Andy knows how to connect with a man quickly, because he'll talk about things like that. And we sometimes joke and say, oh gosh, we're talking about music, we could be here all night, because once you get a connection point, that is just fun to watch. It's fun to just see people enjoy each other and talk about things that they enjoy. So you want to talk about that. People, they might love skiing, they might love fishing, they might love football, but what makes them happy? Because fun in someone's life is important, okay? And fun comes through that recreational conversation, okay? And so those three things: family, occupation, recreation. And as you're talking about them, what's really good when you're thinking about, well, how does AdvoCare fit into that? Well, I could use any example of the three, but let's use recreation. If somebody loves to ski and they tell you they love to ski, and you start asking them, do you go often? Do you ski often? Many times they're going to say, well, we don't, because it's really expensive. You see, so you're learning what they love. Same thing with an occupation. They might love their job, but they may be only working it because it pays better and they want their kids to go to private school. So they give you some stuff that matters to them. That's where the message of AdvoCare fits in. So as you talk about family and occupation and recreation, and you hear the things about those areas of people's life that matter, you're also hearing where they might be stuck in those areas, where they might be desiring more in those areas. And then message, M is the message of AdvoCare. And by the time you know all that, that's where you're able to say, hey, you know what, you said XYZ. You said that you don't have a passion for your job anymore. You only do it because it pays the bills. What if I could show you a way to earn the same amount of income and more, and be able to XYZ? So you just naturally saying, what if I could show you? Or I have a way, or we found a way, depending on what you've already achieved, or we know somebody who's able to be home with their children like you said you wanted to. You're just matching the stories and saying, sharing AdvoCare, inserting AdvoCare, and then beginning the process of sharing your story, maybe sampling a Spark, getting that Impact magazine in their hand, asking for an appointment to maybe sit down and show them more later, inviting them to a meeting, etc., etc. All the things you already know how to do, okay? So what I want to challenge you on tonight is think about, as you talk about AdvoCare every day, now, 10 years later, like me, Andy, and I, we're always thinking about how can we get better connecting with people? How can we get better at just, relaxing about this whole, I got to close a sale, I got to close an advisor, I got to star a leg, and just make a difference. Really and truly find another person that you can just connect with at some point, whether it's maybe that same exact moment that you're connecting with them, and maybe it's a little bit down the road. Share the message of AdvoCare in a way that makes such sense to them, because it will matter in their own life, and then the business just begins to just flourish. And what will happen also is that will duplicate along your team. You will all of a sudden, because you've connected and brought people into the business that way, that's just natural for them too, and they get it too. So I hope that training helped you tonight. I know that I love talking about that, and I see the fruit of that all the time. And I'll tell you, we always see, we even see the fruit of that years down the road, because there are people that have come into our business recently that the connection happened years and years ago, and they never did AdvoCare back then, but as they began it now, it was so easy, because they knew that there was, there was genuine conversation and caring about their life back then, so they came to AdvoCare. and then when they were ready and needed it. And we were ready to pick up and help them. We just had to learn what else has gone on in your life since the last time we talked, and found out the new things. But I just want to encourage you that all of us were built and born to connect with others. We were created for relationship. So you are so capable of all of this, and sometimes our eyes just get a little cloudy because we're so excited about building our business, and we know the potential of what we're able to do here. We want other people to have it. We want to have it. And so we just, we forget, that, well, why don't we just share all this great stuff? Advocare is great. Everything in the magazine, everything. If I tell them about the science and the endorsers and all of that, of course they'll want it. Well, yes. Of course they will. But if they first feel like they've been heard and you know what they want, then all that great stuff that Advocare has to offer will be a no-brainer. So hopefully that, is a real aha moment for some of you. If anybody has a question, I forgot to announce at the beginning of the Ustream, but you are able to text us a question if you want to at 281-844-4591, and I'll wait just a few minutes in case anybody texts in. While I'm waiting for the text for a few minutes, let me talk about Regional Success School just a little bit. They're all over the nation, and you all have one that you're going to be going to. So, obviously now that Ladies Alive is over, tonight, get on your website and register if you're not registered. That's something that, if you're brand new, we want you to just trust that that's so important. But I'm really thinking about something that I thought about at our Ladies Alive. So men, if you are listening, you might talk to women on your team about this that went to Ladies Alive, or your wife. And women, I want you to think about this. And I'm going to use Houston as an example, but we can talk about this anywhere in the entire United States. We had over 1,000 women at the Houston Ladies Alive. And I was thinking about this afterwards. I was thinking about how powerful the messages were, and how woman after woman after woman after woman came up to me, and they were so absolutely changed by this event. They're ready to go. They have the trainings and teachings of the how-tos and all of that. They have the heart now in a different place to do this and all of that. They're ready to go. And I was thinking about this. Houston is expected by the company, Advocare, by their numbers, they expect about 10,000 people at the Houston Ladies Alive. That's from the whole Texas, the whole state of Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana. I mean, it's the region. They're expecting 10,000. And here's what I was thinking. Well, we had 1,000 women at Houston Ladies Alive. If every one of us that attended, including me, if every one of us did what we learned at Houston Ladies Alive and were consistent at the process of Advocare between now and Regional Success School, there's no doubt that each one of us, including myself, could have at least 10 new people in the room. Well, what if that happened? We had 1,000 women at Houston Ladies Alive, 10 new people. We'd be filling the 10,000 seats just by our own Ladies Alive distributors who did something with what they learned consistently. So I think that should be the same all over the nation. Let's think about that. All of us collectively growing our own businesses and other people's businesses, and the company Advocare, which is going to grow it for all of us, just by truly focusing on our own individual, responsibility to our business, and not leaving this to, I hope the people go, or I hope I find someone. No, we can all do this. You can do this. And if you get really great at connecting, you can accelerate how many new people come into your business by leaps and bounds. So anyway, just a thought about Regional Success School. Any questions? Okay, God bless you guys. Good night. Thank you for joining us for another Team Time. We will see you next Sunday.